れましたか？
服を着て申し訳ありません。
母乳はよろしいので。
じゃあ
Ah, boy, here we go.
なぜ脱ぐ必要が？
生殖という行為をしてさあ私に種付けしてください。
さてはこいつ天然だな。
Source: Am I actually the strongest? Welcome back to iAFACutie. Like and subscribe so you can get 100 girlfriends. The story begins with a hikikomori locking himself in his bedroom for the past 5 years to avoid bullying. All he did was watch anime videos on his phone until, one day, he only blinked and met a goddess. I guess you can get isekai'd without Truck-kun now. The beautiful goddess then informed him that he was chosen to be reincarnated in a world where he could have magic powers. MC couldn't even complain since he's also an otaku and has probably been waiting for this. He accepted what the goddess offered him, including the cheat power. Isn't that perfect? Later, MC woke up as a male child, born from a princess and a king. The king was happy about their baby being born healthy with the royal mark visible on his skin. But their joy turned 180 when they decided to measure their child's magic power. It turns out that the child was only at level 2. The magician and the king couldn't believe it. What a turn of events! Without hesitation, the king was planning on faking the child's death. He let the child get thrown away rather than getting his dignity as a king get dirty. Imagine getting revived, only for you to die again. But there's a big misunderstanding from MC because the world's magic measurement tool can only read 3 digits. So instead of showing level 1002, he was only seen as level 02. Well, they can't interfere with it now, can they? After the child was thrown into the middle of the forest, he also figured out his magic. He tried it and successfully attained a box in 3D, and he had fun with it and could even lift himself. Yet, a monster demon appears on his back, so he uses his only magic to stop the hungry fox. He tried creating, but none of the basic and small magic worked, so he tried to lift trees and attack them. The trees didn't work, and the fox still managed to get up, so MC decided to take it up a notch and lifted a small portion of the hill. He seemed to hear a voice stopping him, and it took him a while to realize it was the fox. Seems like he can also understand animals too. He stopped his attack and went to the fox to converse with it. The fox confessed that it was planning to eat the child, but didn't expect him to be that strong for an infant. MC wanted to speak with it but couldn't because of his age. So he took a barrier box and let it fuse to himself. That way, he could speak to it. The fox was surprised to hear it talk, though he was just a day old. Not even a day old, actually. Now that he can talk, MC introduces himself as Reinhardt, but it's too long, so he shortens it to Hart instead. He explained to the fox that he was born in another country, but they threw him out since his power was too low. Of course, the fox doubts him since it can sense great power from him that surpasses a human's limit. It concluded that the infant is perhaps a son of a demon king, with fear already rushing through it. MC decided to go with it as a place safe, so he agreed with the fox's assumption of him being a demon king. The fox didn't even doubt him and accepted its fate as a feast for the demon king. But it looks like it only wants a belly rub. MC refuses since he's not that brutal to defeat it, so he lets it go. The fox thanked him for his kindness and swore it to the Fenrir clan. Although it sounds far-fetched for MC, he just lets him be and takes his leave. But because of the universal cat distribution, the fox vows its life to be in MC's care as its master for saving him and giving it a nickname Flay. MC explained that the Flay part was just him shortening her name, yet it seemed more to her. Without knowing, MC established a contract with Flay. Before he could refuse it, he got too weak that he collapsed to the ground. Flay was worried about what might have happened, so MC told her he was too hungry and needed milkies. As MC's subordinate, Flay tried to transform into a human-like fox to give him the milkies. New waifu unlocked. But as she transformed, Flay was undressed. MC used his barrier magic and gave her clothing, yet it became even too erotic. No complained to her, but since Flay hasn't mated yet, she couldn't produce milk. And to do that, she wanted to mate with MC, but MC got mad, so Flay apologized. Dude is still an infant, must contain. Moments later, Flay sensed a presence nearby. MC wanted her to talk to whoever it was and ask their intention, so Flay did that on his behalf. To keep in contact with Flay, MC used his magic to put an earplug light barrier for easy communication. A knight came into view, and Flay was there to stop him. The knight explained that he was there to pick up the child, but Flay unexpectedly refused. The knight was confused about why Flay was in charge of the kid, so she explained that MC was her master. To attain the child, the knight lies about the kid being his relative's child, and as a human, he empathizes with the hungry child. So he gave Flay a bottle of breast milk, but Flay refused, thinking that the man was just belittling her for being unable to produce milk on her own. He just needs some milk. MC is dying and is desperate to be fed, but the man knows that Flay couldn't possibly raise MC on her own in that state. To convince her, the man explained that his wife was pregnant, but the child sadly died during delivery. After knowing that a child was merely thrown for having low power, he has no problem with it and wants to treasure the life he was blessed with. Flay is touched by his story, so she lets him have him, but a deal is formed to take her as a slave, so she can still be by MC's side, and Flay has no problem with it. Before leaving, they fake traces and pour blood into the basket. 9 years have passed and MC is now a grown child with Flay still by his side. He was raised by Gold, his foster father, who is a margrave. At first, he intends to distance himself. Still, the family is kind towards him, except for their biological daughter, who seems to hate him. Flay was serving them their meal, and it seemed that MC's sister, Charlotte, was fond of Flay. The only one she likes from MC is the fox. Charlotte wanted to play with her more, whereas Flay refused, but one word from MC and Flay followed. As the two were playing outside, MC was watching them from the inside. His foster mom approached him and said that Charlotte had difficulty getting along with a boy close to her age. But MC suddenly realized that maybe Charlotte knew he was actually a grown-up man on the inside. This thought made him miserable even more, making his mom worry. She suggests that MC should treat her like a real younger sister instead of spending his time alone in his room. This was because MC is bad at socializing, so he can only thank his mom but still spend time in his room anyway. Guess he's still an introvert in this world. MC is casually lying on his bed with an idle robot clone standing without a purpose. He was thinking of running away from that place, but was worried about leaving Flay alone. He was having a hard time, so he asked his robot for an answer, but no response. Obviously, it's merely a clone. In the past 9 years, he has been researching his barrier magic and managed to make a copy of himself, but he can't make them move naturally. It suddenly gave him the idea of cloning himself and Flay so they could leave the place without the family worrying. Still, he knows it won't work that easily. Later, Gold knocked on his door, and MC already felt bad about it. Afterward, they went outside because Gold wanted to teach him sword fighting. MC didn't like the idea, and it showed on his face. But Gold was just worried about his safety since he has extremely low magic, so he needed to learn how to use swords. MC rebels by saying that he would rather research ancient magic. Gold was impressed to hear it, but that excuse didn't work on him for MC to ditch their time together, so he gave him a wooden wood. As they approach their stance, MC knows he mustn't underestimate his dad because of his Rumbling Earth's Warhammer nickname. With his body figure, I also won't underestimate him. So to protect himself, he covered himself with a barrier and attacked Gold suddenly, and he didn't see it coming. MC's wooden sword is broken and puts a hole in the ground. Gold was surprised to see it, but he didn't hold back and attacked MC too. As expected, he dodged it like a pro. Gold didn't expect anything from him, especially since his magic was still low. So a backflip is that impressive, huh? MC also didn't expect such a move, remembering when he checked it, but it was still useless. He was even conscious of his abilities, since he was also born without any attributes. But despite that, he was able to summon a random success rate with his magic, so he thinks it's probably the cheat power that the goddess gave, not knowing she messed up big time too. The scene shifts back to Gold and MC again, and Gold concludes that MC probably had his unconscious awakening recently. With that, he considers MC a beginner at defensive art, as he looks forward to still training with MC to become a top-class swordsman. Later that night, Gold worked late in his office with his wife and Charlotte inside. His wife noticed Gold was stiff for a reason, so she wanted to talk it out. Gold explained that he was training in swordsmanship with MC earlier when he realized that MC might be a demi-demon. His wife got scared, but he hushed her since Charlotte was sleeping. Gold explained it's the royal family's secret information that demons are involved with their nest. Although it's rare for the born child to receive demonic features, but it seems that MC doesn't have a horn, tail, or demonic feature. They were still wary about him since his royal mark is still undecipherable. Also, the fact that Flay, an actual demon monster, follows whatever MC wants. Still, they would continue to see MC as their own. Charlotte was secretly listening, but she was sleepy enough to say anything. The next day starts with Haruto laying on the bed while looking worried, because his father told him that he was busy today. Although MC likes the fact that he would not have to do any sword training today, that's where he hears the noises of people panicking. They seem to be searching for bandages and wound antiseptics. So Haruto quickly takes a look. Turns out the soldiers are wounded badly and panic is being caused throughout the kingdom. Moreover, they are gathering every healer in the town. On the other hand, Gordo is found sitting alone in a corner while looking hopeless. Therefore, Haruto approaches him and asks him about what's going on. That's where Gordo reveals that recent attacks from thieves have increased in this area. Hence, Gordo and his team started to gather information about their whereabouts. And after acquiring enough intel, they decided to raid them. But that's where the thieves gave them a surprise attack instead. They threw the Uno reverse. Even after being prepared and careful, Gordo and his reinforcement ended up getting injured badly. Gordo is really upset at this moment. He feels humiliated that such skilled warriors were beaten by a random gang of criminals. He blames himself for having the urge to capture every single one of them. Moreover, he finds this situation demoralizing for him. Gordo feels sorry for Haruto for witnessing such a sight at a young age. Little does he know that the boy literally came from the dead. Anyways, he tells Haruto to go back home because he believes that the kid might get frightened by this scenario. Haruto gets pissed at the situation, though he starts to walk back. Moreover, Flay starts to wonder what Gold was doing when the soldiers were getting massacred by a bunch of thieves. Surprisingly, Haruto tells Flay to shut the f up while giving an outrageous dark aura. Flay doesn't say a single word after and starts to follow Haruto. However, Haruto starts to heal everyone as he walks by. He even recovers their damaged eyes and dislocated legs. Hence, the soldiers start to cherish while Gordo seems shocked. Later that night, we see Flay standing outside Haruto's room while he is heavily sleeping. Though he wakes up moments later and decides to check on the door. It confuses him to see Flay silently standing outside his room. Moreover, he asks her if she has been standing here the whole time. However, Flay just stands still and doesn't respond to him. At first, Haruto gets confused, but then he realizes that Flay might be silent because he told her to shut up previously. Moreover, she would feel bad because she made Haruto pissed off. Therefore, she might be standing outside this whole time. We all crave such obedient women. Although finds her quite dumb, he eventually apologizes to her for his behavior. Moreover, he tells her that she can speak now. Flay instantly apologizes to Haruto, although she doesn't even know what triggered him, which shocks Haruto to see how dumb she is. Anyways, he then asks Flay to walk with him to the roof. That's where he reveals that they should start to search for the thieves that attacked his dad's team. Therefore, he starts to take a look at the city on the magical screen. After inspecting for a while, he finds a group of people sitting together. Moreover, some normal soldiers are also found in between them. Haruto finds these people suspicious. He even calls them thief-looking people. He actually sounds so racist right now. Furtherly, that place is the same area where Gordo and his team got attacked by the thieves. Flay suggests that those soldiers might be traitors who gave out the information to the enemies. Therefore, Haruto and Flay decide to destroy them completely. Hence, both of them fly off towards them. Although Charlotte witnesses Haruto and Flay flying away. It then cuts to the thieves celebrating their victory, while those bandits appreciate the traitor lieutenant for his help. They even start to make fun of how flustered the rumbling Earth's Warhammer was looking. Moreover, the lieutenant reveals that he took pity on Gordo and let him escape. Furthermore, he asks the thieves to finish their job quickly so they all could return to their country. That's where Haruto and Flay make their entry. Haruto immediately freezes them off by his magic barrier. He even thrashes a bandit to the wall and asks him to shut up. Hence, he warns the rest to answer honestly to his questions, or else they know the consequences. After investigating, Haruto finds out that these thieves, including the soldiers, are from their neighborhood kingdom. Moreover, they plan to invade the kingdom as thieves and start to sabotage them. So chaos would be created from the inside. Hence, the kingdom would slowly begin to get weakened. Furthermore, they reveal that they have an accomplice at the border who helps them enter the kingdom. However, they have no idea about his identity. It surprises Haruto because an ordinary person wouldn't have such authority. Therefore, he believes that the person who is letting these bandits in must have the authority of his dad's level. So he thinks that someone within the walls is after his dad's life. Anyways, he starts to ask her forgiveness and tells MC he already gave him whatever information he has. Moreover, he has already decided to pull out of this mission and return home. At first, those people got happy when Haruto thanked them for giving him information. They thought that Haruto would spare them. However, Haruto orders Flay to burn this whole place down, including its people. Furthermore, he tells those bandits that he doesn't care about their situation or reasons. After all, these bandits tried to kill his dad. Therefore, they are unforgivable. And so, Flay burns the whole place down while everyone seems to be crying for help. Flay even appreciates Haruto for his decision as they walk back home. At this point, Haruto doesn't care about anyone, but he would never spare anyone who would interfere in his business. Moreover, he decides to explain this situation to his dad by sending him an anonymous letter. So the next day, as Gordo reads the letter, he gets surprised because no ordinary human could burn that place into ashes. Moreover, he calls that person ruthless and skilled due to wrecking the Fort of Thieves. Although he does get his suspicions about Flay since she is the only fire magic user he knows. He furtherly reveals that Flay also influences the demons at that place. Therefore, there is a high chance that Flay is the one who burnt the thieves' fort. That's where we see Charlotte running around the hall while wondering what her brother actually is. So she runs towards Flay and asks her if she has two twin brothers. Furthermore, she tells her that she saw her brother flying with Flay yesterday, even though Haruto doesn't seem to possess enough magic that would make him fly. Furthermore, she ran into Haruto's room and saw him sleeping on his bed. So at first, Flay starts to appreciate Charlotte for her investigation. And then she tells her that she is now aware of Lord Heart's power. Furthermore, she reveals that Lord Heart has extremely high magical powers, that even a demon like Flay couldn't reach his level. Dumb Flay literally exposed Haruto in front of his 9-year-old sister. Moreover, she explains to Charlotte that the person lying on the bed was a clone of Haruto. Although Flay advises Charlotte to not fuss about such small things and should act like an adult. Later on, she reports the whole scenario to Haruto. So he decides to put a surveillance alarm on Charlotte, so he would know where she is and what she is doing. At this point, Charlotte seems to follow around Haruto. She doesn't even leave him alone while he bathes. Anyways, after a week, Gordo tells Haruto that Charlotte and Haruto's mother seems to be going on a trip to attend a festival. Usually, Gordo himself goes to that festival and participates every year. But this time, he decides to let his wife and daughter attend it. And later that night, Haruto's surveillance magic alarms him that Charlotte and his mother are in great danger. Turns out, a bunch of bandits have attacked them. Natalia makes a run while holding Charlotte while her soldiers try to hold those thieves off. Surprisingly, she starts to follow Charlotte's instructions while running. She even jumps off a cliff because her 9-year-old daughter said so. Looks like someone is instructing Charlotte to a cave. And for some unknown reason, she decides to leave her daughter in a cave and run outside so she could protect her. As she walks outside the cave, Natalia realizes that someone is using illusion magic to hide the entrance. It surprises her to see such advanced magic. Although that's where the bandits finally find her, at this point, she concludes to kill herself, since she can't bear the torture of being a prisoner. But that's when her sword burst away, which caused her to pass out, and hence, the hero makes his entry. Haruto seems to be pissed off at the bandits, and the very next moment we see the bandits getting thrown away by magic. Moreover, he asks Charlotte to take care of her mother till help arrives. At this point, Charlotte feels impressed by her brother as she calls him the ally of justice. Moreover, she promises to keep his powers a secret from everyone. Later, MC casually asks his father about how these bandits are entering the kingdom so easily. It starts to make Gordo realize that he might have a traitor among them. Moreover, he feels impressed to see his young kid acting too wise. However, Gordo mentions the name Vixen and reveals that she's not holding back anymore. But before he could describe it further, Charlotte and Natalia enter the room and Gordo starts to hug them as he was worried about them. The episode ends with Charlotte hugging her brother while showing unconditional love to her brother for the first time.
いいえ、何もありません。私は子供ですけど良いのです。
含みのある言い方はやめなさい。
Wait a minute. あーにゃ、母いなくて寂しい。
It's still quite early in the morning when Charlotte is all bright and cheerful asking her brother to play with her. He tells her that she should at least knock, and she promises to do so the next time as she hugs him. He doesn't seem thrilled. After that day, Charlotte starts barging into his room every day just like when she hated him. However, this time she likes him so much that he doesn't know what to do. At least he doesn't hate it. He thinks she's like a tiny animal that lets you do whatever to her, and it's kind of comforting. She notices something in his room and asks about it, and he tells her it's surveillance magic, kind of ancient magic. She's quite impressed with him, and he also tells her that it's lost magic and thus there aren't any records regarding it either. However, little Charlotte is certain that it's not true because she's seen it in the castle archives and offers to lead him there. Charlotte does exactly as she promised, and Haruto is shocked to see the vast collection. He's grateful to her and starts reading as he learns more interesting facts about how his barrier magic can also be considered ancient magic. Among the several interpretations of the records, Charlotte picks out one that quite captures her attention. However, Haruto is surprised that she's read and understood these works with her as well. I guess it's time to unleash his big brother skills. Charlotte sits on his lap. He mentions the chair right next to him was free, but she insists this is how she's used to sitting with her father or Flay, so this is how she'll do it with him. That's one stubborn child. They start reading about gods who could travel between worlds. Haruto remembers seeing something like that in an anime, and it's been so long since he's watched any. That really is his only complaint with this world. Charlotte has no idea what he's talking about but is determined to know, so Haruto has no choice but to explain what anime is. Once his speech is over, he realizes he's been too passionate about it, and Charlotte understands that moving drawings is a strange type of magic that she'd also like to see. She's just happy because Haruto was so happy talking about it, and he thanks their mom for raising Charlotte to be such a good kid. 2 weeks later, Haruto's plan seems to have worked as he was able to access the modern Japanese internet. His paid streaming service accounts could still be used. He proceeds to make a kid's account for Charlotte and shows her the screen. She picks one with a cute girl who resembled her on the cover and stares in awe at the moving talking picture, saying because it's in Japanese and she wants to learn. Once more, Haruto has no choice but is extremely shocked when she masters hiragana and katakana in only 2 hours. Furthermore, she's at a lower grade school level already. What is it with the children of this world? Another 2 weeks later, Charlotte asks Haruto to show her the next episode of Tamazon. She's quite interested in it and has almost mastered Japanese. Is it possible she's a genius? In that case, he shouldn't be showing her only anime. She seems to be having so much fun though, but at dinner, Charlotte seems to be nodding off quite often, and their father has observed that she seems to be spending a lot of time in Haruto's room lately. Charlotte is quick to respond that they are researching ancient magic and their parents are delighted. She follows him around hoping he'll let her watch anime, but he refuses and tells her to take a bath and go to sleep. Their mother told Charlotte to take a bath with Haruto. Even though they're both children, he feels like a criminal. Suddenly, he notices Charlotte staring at him and realizes she's staring at the symbol on his chest. She seems to believe it's an emblem of the Allies of Justice, but he tells her to keep it a secret, right next to him. He notices his mother looking in through a slight opening in the door, and she's proud that her children get along so well. MC just wants Charlotte to let him sleep in peace. The next day, their father announces that he'll be leaving to subdue the thieves and their mother tells him to be careful. Charlotte waves him goodbye and hopes he'll return safely. Back in Haruto's room, she seems too sad and he tells her not to worry. She's still little, so she wonders why someone would choose to be a thief and remembers how their father mentioned that power struggles have started to pop up all over the country. Why can't everyone just live happily ever after? MC tells her that it's not an easy thing to achieve, so she asks why can't he just go and fight the thieves. In her expert opinion, that's what his powers should be used for. She bats her eyelashes and doe eyes as she says he must transform and fight, so MC reluctantly gives in. He asks her what he should transform into. He's hoping it's not an anime character, but changes into the Black Knight. He closely resembles Laluosh. Like always, Charlotte begs to go along, but he sternly refuses, saying she can watch his heroism through the safety of a screen that he's provided. He leaves and manages to locate the thieves as he plans to close off their escape route. He conjures a barrier to stop them, but he can't just leave them there. He wants to show Charlotte some action. He confronts them, calling himself an ally of justice, accidentally puts in too much strength in his attacks, which ends up with all of them knocked out. Glad he didn't shed any blood. Suddenly, the knights, including his father, arrive and demand to know who he is. Gold is astonished that a single man fought off the thieves and is left speechless. He introduces himself and asks the masked Haruto his name. Thankfully, he remembers to stay in character. He says his name is Dunoyet. He couldn't think of anything better, and Gold knows that he's the one who rescued his wife and daughter earlier. Gold is intrigued as to what his actual goal is, but Haruto just calls himself an ally of justice. He's super embarrassed and flies away. He falls onto his bed while Charlotte, his biggest supporter, thinks he is super cool. One day, finally, Haruto's master plan is complete. He scoured the archives for scraps of information until he was finally able to create a robot that was an exact replica of him. This way, he can finally hole up in his room while the robot does all the fighting. Charlotte emerges from under the covers and is confused as to which brother is hers. When it's time to get on with the day, Haruto realizes he can't use the robot because he's just as lazy as him and simply refuses. It's mid-afternoon when Marianne and Laius arrive at Gold Zenfis's home. Laius is already being rude even when he was the one who insisted to visit. Gold bows down and gives the royal prince and princess a warm welcome, saying he's honored to host them. Haruto realizes they're his real siblings. To challenge Haruto to a fight. To teach him a lesson, of course. He doesn't know he'll end up being schooled after this fight. He's so overconfident, he even promises to hold back a little. Both the boys get in position and wield wooden swords as the duel starts. Haruto thinks Laius is a little too boastful and initiates his magic level evaluation. He learns his opponent is currently level 9 and the highest he will ever be is level 40. Charlotte told Haruto that the most powerful sorcerer in the country was a level 77 and he checks Gold is level 32 30 seconds while Marianne is 14 33 on his head from the back. Everyone is shocked as Marianne asks her Uncle Gold if Haruto is really a level 2. He's not because his fighting skills were admirable. Laius starts shooting fireballs at him, but Haruto wisely uses his barrier magic to absorb the fire. Marianne screams at Laius to stop shooting to prevent himself from being embarrassed any further. Haruto releases all the fireballs he's gathered in a giant firebomb towards the sky in an epic showdown. Finally, he can get some rest since he's done fighting the stupid prince. He's on his way inside when Marianne stops him and apologizes for her brother's rudeness. Of course, he's a gentleman and says she shouldn't be apologizing. He's level 2, so his real parents might come looking for him. They were parents who easily threw him away, so they probably won't do that. The next day, Charlotte is busy with her patrol work when she spots some burglars and informs Haruto. He isn't at all interested in it by the looks of it, and here comes Flay, offering her duties to the Lord. Haruto is the Lord. She heard about Haruto's doing from Charlotte and is now interested in helping him. I want these types of friends. Flay looks like a great help that will bring excitement and assistance to the team. Charlotte is in awe and explains that when the hero is in trouble, his allies come to the rescue and lend him a hand in fighting evil. She is way too enthusiastic for her age. Haruto isn't excited about Flay being a part of the team and thinks she is a pain in the butt to be this itchy about everything. Haruto explains the situation to Flay and she agrees. The burglars are feeling accomplished and excited about their work, but their happiness doesn't last long when the Black Knight appears. Honestly, Dark Knight would have been a better name for him. The burglars are confused as to who this guy is when Flay appears out of nowhere as well, introducing herself as the Red Knight. What is their obsession with the word knight? Haruto controls the situation, but Flay is off the ropes. She is blasting and burning the living hell out of these poor fellas. Roast anyone? Haruto's plan isn't going as he thought. He interjects with a cubicle shield and saves them from the burning fire. Flay isn't backing down and is charging a bigger blast when Haruto smacks her with a hammer on the head. The ever-effective bonk. Haruto isn't happy with her work and tells her to back down and return home. Well, of course, she is destroying these poor dudes. She isn't having any of it and says she is here for her lord. What a stubborn beach. Haruto is saving the final blow for him, and Flay understands her lord's intentions. Just like that, the burglars have learned their lesson. Back home, Haruto is pretty beat up. Charlotte loved the show Flay and Haruto put on for her and thinks they are a pretty good team. They are definitely quite a team. However, Haruto doesn't think so. While Flay isn't happy about the way she performed and thinks about fixing it up the next time they go out to fight crime. Haruto stops her there and tells her there will be no next time. On the other hand, Charlotte liked what they did so much that she wanted to see it again. I hate these kinds of spoiled kids. Just because of her, Haruto agrees, not so happily, about Flay being his ally. Flay has some pretty good moves too. Haruto is just waiting for his normal life to start again. On the other hand, Lias is unhappy about how Haruto defeated him and how insulting it was. He is in his thoughts, despising Haruto, when his butler comes and lets him know about the dinner party. Lias is getting ready when the butler suggests inviting Charlotte to tomorrow's inspection. He doesn't like this idea and calls Charlotte a brat. What's with this guy? Butler insists and tells him this is what the king wants. He has no reason to say no now. Charlotte barges into Haruto's room again, but quickly apologizes. He is about to have dinner and loves the food before him when he notices the other brother behind him. Haruto asks him if something is wrong. He is frustrated and tells him that he always makes him do what he hates and then proceeds to get in his bed. Meanwhile, Charlotte lets Haruto know that she is joining tomorrow's inspection. He asks her about it, and she says that the prince invited her. Haruto is concerned about the prince inviting her and says he will also accompany her. Are we gonna ignore the other brother on the verge of a mental breakdown? A little later, Haruto is checking the routes for the inspection when he notices a group of wizards in a circle around a magical symbol. He senses something fishy about these wizards and doesn't want anything to happen to Charlotte, so he decides to check it out himself. He comes up to them and asks them what they are doing here. They think that Haruto is one of Gold's soldiers and tries to take him down. They attack him, but he defeats them easily. Suddenly, they summon skeleton soldiers from within the symbol. The skeletons begin charging towards Haruto, and he slices them in half with a single blow of his knife. However, they're back on their feet. Obviously, the cliché skeleton army. They attack Haruto once again, and he defeats them one more time. He notices a red light in the skeletons' chests and quickly turns them against their masters. These skeletons are now shining with blue light and start attacking wizards who summoned them. Their leader summons a golem to attack Haruto. Who is he gonna summon next? A werewolf? The golem is pretty strong and is giving a tough time to Haruto. Suddenly, he notices something in the middle of the golem's chest as well. He quickly attacks it, turning this golem against its master. Eventually, they give up and now Haruto is interrogating their leader. But he isn't responding. Bro, lose the attitude, your army got defeated by a boy. He orders the skeletons and they start throwing his soldiers one by one into a grave to make their leader talk. So he gives up and tells him he is here on the queen's orders. They were preparing to attack tomorrow's inspection with these summoned monsters. Haruto is surprised to hear this. He asks about the queen's goals, and the leader tells him she wants to assassinate Charlotte. Haruto is shocked to hear this. He adds that it is because the queen thinks Charlotte will take her place easily, and she would not let that happen. They've been asking for the Empire's help on this, but they'd have failed twice, so the people directly under the Queen are now doing it. Haruto quickly realizes and connects all the dots. He now understands everything that has happened to Charlotte and his loved ones. Oh, the plot thickens. Suddenly, his powers get out of control, and the golem grabs the leader and starts smashing him through the trees and woods. Painful. Haruto orders the golem to stop. Moreover, he is quite furious and wouldn't forgive his mother for these evil doings. The next day, everyone is on the way to the inspection. They are in the cart heading toward the site. Out of nowhere, Charlotte tells Laius that he shouldn't feel bad just because he lost to Haruto. What a great thing to bring up here. Charlotte continues mocking him innocently, saying he didn't have any chance in the first place. He should feel happy that he could land a blow on Haruto instead. She is destroying this guy's mental health. Maria also joins the party, and Laius isn't having any of this. He is losing his mind when Haruto tells Charlotte and Maria to stop. Laius is unhappy and says that Haruto wasn't even using magic when he defeated him. Haruto says he can use reinforcement magic on his command, but others are not buying his explanation. That didn't even make any sense. Haruto is surprised that the explanation didn't work because it actually worked with the king before. Laius has an explanation and says maybe Haruto is a demi-demon. A demi-demon is when a demon and a human have an offspring. That child possesses real power and physical strength. Maria doesn't believe that this is true because she does not see horns or funny ears on Haruto. Charlotte brings up that Haruto's body is very clear. She knows it because she had taken baths with him. Also, something you should never bring up so casually. Laius and Maria are shocked and look at Haruto. Haruto says he didn't invite her, so it's not his fault. Maria explains that bathing with a man is not okay, because when a girl and a boy show their body to each other, it has a special meaning. As all this is happening suddenly, the cart stops. They have arrived at their location. It is a very beautiful wheat field. I thought they were here for the inspection. Charlotte is having the time of her life, running around and playing with Maria. Gold is watching them when Haruto asks him a question. He asks what he would do if the queen was after Charlotte's life. Pretty straightforward, don't you think? Gold is surprised because just last night, Black Knight sent him a letter telling him the same thing. Gold is confused and knows he cannot lay a finger on the country's queen. He knows Queen thinks of him as her enemy, but he doesn't think she would be willing to go this far. Haruto suggests that she should disappear. Gold shares the queen's story with Haruto about how before he was born, the queen killed the demon king and married Jerk, the king. She was popular because of what she did and was named the Princess of Light. That exact Princess of Light is now trying to take over the country. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Haruto didn't think she was this powerful. There is a reason she's the queen. Haruto is curious and says that his dad, Gold, should become the king. But Gold believes he is bad at politics and is not a good fit for the throne. He is hopeful that Charlotte will be powerful enough to surpass the Princess of Light easily when she becomes an adult. Gold expects Haruto to take care of Charlotte until she becomes an adult. Haruto has now become a glorified babysitter. Haruto reassures him not to worry about anything. He will take care of her until she becomes the queen. She seems like a spoiled child to me. He thinks of living in another world after doing his job. Flay confidently says she would be willing to take the queen's head and give it to her Lord Haruto. Yeah, that wouldn't be necessary. Haruto likes her spirit but tells her this is between him and the queen. He is adamant that he should be the one to do it. Otherwise, it will have no meaning. All of them say the same thing. Charlotte is still a child, and Haruto is concerned about her. Haruto is ready to have a parent-child relationship with Charlotte from now on. At the queen's palace, we see her holding a wine glass. She asks her guard to give her an explanation for failing the assassination of Charlotte. Royal guards say it was because of Black Knight. Moreover, the news is that the Black Knight has been defeating the thieves at the border region. After considering his power, the royal guards have doubts that he might likely be the one who defeated the summoner's unit. For some unknown reason, that royal lady seems quite amused after hearing about the Black Knight. However, the guard tells her that one day he will be Princess of Light if she wants a duel with him. Hence, the Black Knight makes his entry while the royal guards go to sleep with his magic. It quite impresses the princess to see Black Knight making his way here, since there are multiple layers of barriers, though the Black Knight finds those barriers quite sloppy. He reveals that he easily tore those barriers down. The royal princess finds him quite daring to stand in her way. Therefore, she casts some attacking spells and tells the Black Knight to accept them as a reward. It quite surprises the Black Knight to see a triple-layered magic circle. Anyways, she immediately traps him in a water barrier. However, the Black Knight easily escapes her water spell, and that's where her other spell gets activated as she throws crystals over him. But the Black Knight manages to counter them with his shield. Lastly, her third spell shoots fire at him, as the princess believes that he'll probably be burned into crisps now. However, he manages to survive her attack, asks her if she can really use a sword while having multiple attributes. At this point, the Black Knight stands as if nothing happened and tells her that he is quite jealous of her for having multiple skills. Though it shocks the princess to see him standing in one piece after she used her triple-layered spell. And now it is the Black Knight's turn to attack. He immediately shoots white flames toward her, even though the princess manages to block it by using her shield. But she seems rather shocked because that attack was unexpectedly fast. So the Black Knight and the princess start to go back and forth. It scares the princess because she is about to run out of energy, whereas the Black Knight seems to have an enormous amount of magic power. She reveals that even the Demon King didn't have such kind of power. The princess then draws her sword out and tries her luck with close-range combat. At first, she seems to be doing great as she manages to push the Black Knight back. But that's when the Black Knight gets a bit serious and throws her sword away. And hence, the Black Knight stands in front of the princess while he puts a chain on her neck as a punishment. Hopefully his intentions are pure. He reveals that if she tried to force treated like a slave, although she is pissed off and asks him what the purpose of humiliating her like that. So he comes directly to the point. The Black Knight reveals that he doesn't give a damn about what the princess is doing or would do. He just wants one thing from her, which is to leave Margrave Gold Zenfis and his family alone, and he tells her to never interfere with them or their territory again. Moreover, while the princess feels like she is a slave now, she starts to cry due to the humiliation she has been through. Even Flay thinks that Black Knight has done a great job handling this situation once and for all. She thought that Heart has become sloppy at first, but her opinion immediately changed after she saw him defeating the Princess of Light. Anyways, Heart tells her that things might become more peaceful now, but she shouldn't let her guard down. Moreover, he won't show any mercy if his family has to suffer problems due to anyone. 5 years later, Charlotte seems to be walking around the snow with MC and Flay. She seems very happy to see the silver weather, as everything is covered in snow. Looks like the Princess of Light is still fearful of Heart. That's Charlotte's request. Heart makes a large hole in the ground by using his magic. Moreover, Gordo and Natalis also join them. It surprises Gordo to see a large hole in the ground, so Heart makes a clone of himself wearing the Black Knight outfit and blames him as his clone runs away. As everyone is playing with the snow, Gordo tells Heart that recently there haven't been any attacks. Moreover, he heard rumors the princess now wears a slave-type chain and calls it fashion. People have started to assume that someone is forcing her to wear that. That's enough for a punishment. He should forgive her now. Anyways, Heart gets irritated when his father starts to force him to join a school in the capital. He seems to hate the concept of school, where he thought that he'd be living his ideal life. Gordo started to convince him to join a school. I mean, a school in the capital might not be a bad idea. So Gordo reveals that the king has sent the letter of recommendation. Furthermore, he wants to directly appoint Heart. Gordo is low-key confused about why the king seems interested in Heart all of a sudden, though he believes that probably Princess Marianne would have recommended it. Seems like she has an interest in Heart after that inspection. But still, Heart believes that why would the princess want him to attend an elite school? Heart wouldn't feel comfortable around the elite kids. Surprisingly, Prince Laius is also willing to skip grades and enroll with Heart. He believes that they would study diligently together and would aim for the further development of the kingdom. He wants to become friends with Heart. Moreover, Gordo seems worried about the silence of the Princess of Light. He thinks that she might be plotting something and spurred the princess to this. Little does he know, his kid has created fear in her heart, and after emotionally blackmailing his son, Heart finally agrees to go to the capital and study magic. Though Gordo suggests Heart hire an attendant, since he would be living on his own in a new city, so things might get rough. Now he is scaring his kid. Gordo is indeed a confusing father. At this point, Heart can only think of Flay, but she seems to be useless and would literally create more trouble for him. Therefore, he has to think of someone else. That's where tear for her dear child, since she raised him from the start to school while he would practice his stuff. However, his clone denies this deal, since as a clone he can't use magic. So going to a magic school without access to magic would end up making fun of himself. But that's exactly what Heart wants, since he can't leave school due to his father's order. So now he wants the school to kick him out for having low grades. Moreover, he promises his clone that time by the time they will switch places with each other. Even though the clone seems done with his life, although he somehow agrees to Heart's terms and conditions. We then see a log house that Heart made by himself. It is located at the lakeside, which is one mountain over from the castle. Moreover, it took Heart around 5 years to build such a house. The purpose to build this house is to make this house the final stop of his hold-up life. Bro simply made a retirement house for himself at the age of 15. Heart seems to love this place as he finds it quite peaceful where no one bothers him. He often visits this log house and plays video games in peace. But that's where Charlotte and Flay make their entry, and hence his reign of peaceful time comes to an end. Charlotte reveals that she wants to watch anime. That's why she came here, and as the nice brother that he is, he couldn't say no. And so Charlotte starts to watch anime, while Flay does the cleaning. Furthermore, Charlotte reveals that the burden of lectures has increased. Therefore, she was told that she cannot hang out in Heart's room. Heart then shows his teleportation magic to Charlotte, although he reveals that he never tried to cross a living being on his teleportation portal. Hence, they open up a portal and try to lure Heart's clone to cross it. However, the clone outsmarts them and starts to provoke them. So Flay ends up jumping into the portal to attack him and throws him at the why Heart isn't taking her to the capital. It is a calm morning and Flay is cleaning the windows. Charlotte is very happy watching anime while Haruto is playing games on his phone. Haruto is excited that he leveled up in the game that he's playing on his phone. Suddenly, he screams out the word attendant out of nowhere. Charlotte and Flay are confused why he screams so loud. Haruto feels embarrassed and ignores their questioning. Ignoring them, he goes out of the house and starts walking in the forest behind the house. That was pretty random. He is walking in the forest thinking about the mess up he almost did before saying the word attendant out loud like that. Haruto wonders when he is going to find the right attendant, thinking there are only 3 months left for it. Coming across the path going deep into the forest, Haruto wonders where this part of the forest leads to. Did you never learn from the horror movies not to go to places like these? He goes along this way and finds out that this is the part where skeletons are residing. These are the same skeletons he defeated 5 years ago. The summoner summoned these skeletons to fight him, but Haruto got control over them pretty easily. Now these skeletons think of Haruto as their master. Their leader named John welcomes Haruto. He is pretty happy to see Haruto, and so are the rest of the skeleton army. Haruto doesn't know how to feel about this. He totally forgot about them, and they now have monsters living among them as well. Seeing all the skeletons work hard and make a life for themselves, Haruto feels a little good and thinks to himself that maybe this is not so bad, these skeletons living in this area. John is pretty pumped up to see Haruto and wants to show him the other parts where they have managed to make home. He takes Haruto to the fields where skeletons are sowing and reaping and harvesting fresh vegetables. How are they going to eat these? Turns out, vegetables are not for the skeletons, but for the monsters. They use these crops to get more monsters living with them. Haruto is regretting the moment he gave these skeletons that land. He is not so interested in these skeletons and getting to know their lifestyle, but John is really making every detail clear for him. Man, I would be pretty excited to live with these skeletons, getting to know them. On the other hand, at night, yeah, I'll pass and go to my home instead. John is chattering away his thoughts. He is rambling about the work he is doing here and how he is planning to progress forward. This makes Haruto think really hard about him. Haruto is finding an attendant for him and listening to John talk. Haruto thinks maybe he is a good fit as an attendant, if he can put some meat on him to make him look like a human. But John keeps on blabbering. He speaks too much for his own good, and now he is off the list. John looks at Haruto and asks him if something is wrong because he looks a little tense. Haruto is okay and assures him that he is doing great work here. John wants to show him some more things around, but Haruto is fed up. He wants to just relax for a bit, so he scoots away saying he has something to do back home. Take notes, this is what happens to nice guys. Anyways, Haruto goes to the river and sits by the river for some relaxation. He is feeling at peace when a giant golem walks out of the forest and sits next to Haruto. Yeah, this is the same golem he defeated and got control over the same way as those skeletons. He was also one of the creatures summoned to fight him. His name is Jigen and looks like a good creature. They are sitting together and Jigen gives Haruto a flower. Haruto is surprised and thinks about the Gigan now as the attendant. Jigen is actually a female in the golem's body. He thinks about making Gigan his attendant but is worried he will be alone in the village with him. He asks Jigen if he likes living in the village, but he tells Haruto that he likes him instead. Also, Jigen is pretty big for an attendant. Anyways, Haruto decides to go home now and is thinking if finding an attendant is always this hard. He goes home and upon entering, finds Flay waiting for him there. Flay is still curious about when he said attendant out loud. She asks Haruto what was that about. Haruto is shocked that he is so sharp in these situations, otherwise she is very gullible. Haruto ignores answering it clearly and thinks why can't Flay be his attendant? Gold clearly told him about not making Flay his attendant. Haruto runs to his room saying it has nothing to do with Flay. This makes Flay pretty upset. Sometime later, we see that on the ice border called the Imperial Border, some adventurers are fighting a giant blue dragon. Dragon manages to fly away for a bit and lands on the ground thinking it made far from those adventurers. But they are close and manage to attack the dragon. Meanwhile, Gold informs Haruto about this situation. Haruto wonders what it has to do with them as this is not happening on their border. But Gold doesn't think this way. He tells Haruto that the dragon they damaged might go on a killing rampage after being hurt. This dragon might even come to their area and start hurting one of their people. Gold is ultimately protecting his people and Haruto finally understands this. Gold asks Flay to look at the situation herself because she is a demon and can actually talk to that dragon. Step back, Khaleesi is here. She refuses, saying she only agrees to what her Lord Heart tells him. Haruto asks her the same and she gives her reason for not accepting. She tells him that a dragon this big cannot have been born in the past years. She is one of the demons, but she doesn't know about these blue dragons. This is very complicated for me. She is calling these adventurers cowards. Anyways, they go out of the Gold's office and Charlotte has been listening to everything they have been talking about. She is pretty worried about the dragon and wants to save it. She asks Flay and Haruto to go save that dragon. Haruto agrees to Charlotte's wishes and asks Flay again to help him save that dragon. Flay and Charlotte meet the skeleton army and name the place Pandemonium for them. John likes the name very much. A little after, they reach that destination and start scouting the whole area, looking for the dragon. Haruto finds it and sees that it is on the ground almost unconscious. Dragon looks pretty worn out from the fight with those adventurers. Meanwhile, Flay is looking at the adventurers and they are currently walking toward the dragon. Adventurers are charging toward the dragon. They actually want to capture and sell this humongous creature for money. Dragons are pretty weak at this point and can't defend themselves when Haruto and Flay show up to save the dragon. Haruto is healing the dragon with his spells and Flay is looking pretty pissed off at these adventurers. She charges up her fire attack and burns the hell out of these people, calling them a coward. She lost her control. Dragon is healed up. She freezes Haruto with a smither of her breath. Flay yells at the dragon, telling it that Haruto was the one who saved it from those people trying to kill it. Haruto is fine and breaks out of the ice. Dragon is pretty confused about getting to know what Flay just told him. Dragon is looking directly at Flay and is thinking about something. Haruto hears the dragon saying something and feels like he can talk to her. Haruto asks Dragon who she is and where she is from, but she doesn't respond to Haruto. Staring at Flay, Dragon asks why is a demon obeying a human? It doesn't have to be like this with demons. Flay is confident when she tells the dragon that Haruto is a great person that she was happy to serve. It's been an hour of flaying telling the dragon everything about Haruto, and now the dragon finally understands everything. Haruto asks the dragon about where she came from. She tells that she regrets not helping the Demon King fight way back when the war with humans was at its peak. She stayed in the mountains alone for 300 years. Haruto is surprised to hear about this and asks curiously how she spent his time all that time. Dragon shares her story and tells Haruto that she was living deep in the caves all this time, but an adventurer came to the cave and accidentally forgot one of his books there. She started reading that book over and over again and fell in love with the books. She then wanted to read more books, so she transformed into a human form and went to the village right next to the cave. She would go into the village and get some books back to the cave to read. She had a lot of books racked up in the cave and she had read all those books. But one day, all the adventurers came together and burned all those books that she loved. Listening to this, Flay starts crying. She knows how it feels to have your habit taken from you. Dragon thanks Haruto for saving her earlier and promises to serve him for the rest of her life with her life. This is slowly turning into how to train your dragon. Anyways, Dragon changes into human form and Haruto gives clothes to her. She is pretty happy with her clothes. Haruto introduces himself to her, but she doesn't have a name right now. She wants Haruto to name her. This is how you become a father out of nowhere. Haruto starts thinking of a name. He mixes all of her traits and comes up with a name. He calls her Lisa and she is pretty happy with it. Flay interrupts them to tell Lisa to stay within her limits, because Haruto recruited Flay first and Lisa after her. Lisa doesn't have a problem with it. Haruto starts flying, telling them to follow him home, and Lisa has wings too. Haruto and Lisa are flying together and Flay is jealous. They are headed home and Lisa is pretty curious about everything. Haruto promises to tell her everything when they get home. They will make a great team for sure. Haruto introduces Lisa, the blizzard dragon, to Gold and others at home. They are quite surprised to see her while she is very happy to be here. Charlotte loves her. Lisa wants to be the maid of this house and prove herself to be one of the best. Gold doesn't have an issue as long as she is following the rules of this house. We'll see if she can handle herself. Flay puts her in training and shows her how things are done here. The training starts with outside cleaning and she does great. Next is the dishwashing. Flay is accidentally breaking all the plates while Lisa is doing a great job for now. She did great here too. Next is cooking. Flay is showing her how the dishes are made and manages to fire up the dish she is cooking. On the other hand, Lisa is doing excellent and other maids are complimenting her for her control over her spices. Everyone at the dinner table tastes it. They experience love at first bite and compliment Lisa's cooking skills. Meanwhile, Flay feels left behind because of Lisa's great performance in everyday activities. Natalia loves the way Lisa is working for now and wants her to be Charlotte's personal maid. Lisa is honored and plans on doing her best for Charlotte. Poor Flay doesn't deserve this humiliation. Natalia asks Lisa if she has some other talents as well. She tells her that she likes reading books, so she has basic magic knowledge if that counts. Where can I find these books? Gold also agrees with Natalia and Lisa is officially Charlotte's personal maid. The next day, Lisa is on her new duty and it's time to wake Charlotte up. She goes into the room and wakes her up. After getting her dressed, they went downstairs. Outside on the lawn, they are practicing magic. Lisa is teaching Charlotte to cast an easy spell for now. Lisa demonstrates the technique and Charlotte learns it on her first try. Natalia is happy to see Charlotte learning these new things. After that, they are in Charlotte's room where Lisa is cleaning while Charlotte is studying. Lisa helps her in her studies as well. They are in the library sometimes later and reading books together. They are getting along very well and Charlotte is learning a lot of new things. A little later, Haruto is walking by the lawn and sees these two training. Charlotte shows him a huge fireball she can make now. This amazes Haruto. Lisa seems to be doing a great job with her. Haruto is a little concerned that maybe Lisa might need some rest, but she is fine. She loves this maid thing. Lisa is doing laundry while teaching Charlotte all this magic. Haruto is surprised to see her do this well for a beginner. Suddenly, it hits his skull of a brain that it is just possible that Lisa might be the best attendant he can have. As he is thinking about this, Charlotte offers Lisa to be her friend and Lisa agrees. Charlotte and Lisa are very happy, but seeing them become friends shatters Haruto's plan of making Lisa her attendant. But he has a new plan. He is going to take her to the capital as her attendant, but will bring her back in time so Charlotte doesn't notice. How is that going to work exactly? A little while after, Haruto is playing games while Charlotte has finished the anime she watches every day. Lisa reminds Charlotte that break time is going to be over soon. They are going back to the training when Haruto lets them know about his trip to school in the capital next week. Charlotte is suddenly struck with all the politics of the school and cannot help but feel that her brother might be in danger. She quickly gathers all the crew to have a roundtable meeting out in the forest. Haruto's plan just backfired, I think. Everyone is here in the forest, sitting on a roundtable on Charlotte's orders. She is in a serious mood right now and wants to discuss the reason for Haruto's going to school. She cannot understand why he was called to the school at this time of the year. She thinks the school is a trap for Haruto and asks for advice on this matter. Flay, on the other hand, feels that she is left out because she didn't know about this before. Charlotte calms her down, saying that this came to her knowledge just a little while ago as well. Flay is feeling frustrated and is about to let out the secret of Haruto being the Demon King when John stops her from talking. Charlotte is suspicious now and wants to know the secret as well, but Flay wouldn't tell her. All kids are the same. They're curious intergalactic species. Flay explains that this secret is only between the demons. This makes Charlotte only more curious. John speaks up and explains that this secret is not a secret, but just a trivial matter among the demons. He is sure that Haruto will tell her himself someday, so she doesn't have to worry about anything. He also adds that she, Charlotte, is the most favored by Haruto, so she shouldn't feel left out by any means. Charlotte is amazed at getting to know about Haruto's priorities and forgets about the secret. She continues the meeting and brings up the same question: why Haruto is going to school voluntarily. She thinks of school as a bad place because it was one time her watching an anime about school when she asked Haruto, "What's a school?" Haruto told her that school is a terrifying place, and this gave her the idea that school is a bad place. She is worried that there is nothing Haruto is afraid of, but he said these school words. Everyone understands where Charlotte is coming from, but Charlotte has an explanation for it. She thinks that there is an evil student council in the school that makes students do evil stuff for them, and those who refuse are met with punishment by various means. This is why everyone should be educated. Charlotte thinks that Haruto is planning on fighting this evil organization and bringing peace to the school once and for all. Haruto can handle herself, but she wants to make sure that everything is open before Haruto goes on his mission. She plans on going to the capital herself with Flay and Lisa to bring information for Haruto. She wants John and Gigaman to stay behind and build the pandemonium while they are gone. Everyone agrees, but Lisa is a little concerned. She thinks that they should talk with Haruto before taking any actions of the sort. Charlotte thinks they should not make Haruto worry about them, so it's best to not involve him right now. At night, Lisa goes to Haruto's room and informs her of the discussion they had in the meeting today. He is a little relieved that Lisa told her about all this stuff, otherwise who knows what would have happened. A little worried, Lisa asks him if the thing about evil organizations is true. He has to think about what he says now because Lisa takes everything seriously right now. He tells her that it's true and she wants her to come with him as his attendant. She is shocked to hear this and underestimates herself, saying that she might cause his trouble. But Haruto is confident that she would be great, and in fact, she is the only one capable of doing this job. She agrees and Haruto is happy that things turned out like he planned. The next day, Flay is sitting with other maids in the break time, having tea. One of the maids is upset and tells everybody that her boyfriend promised to marry her but isn't going to. Flay thinks people who cannot keep their promises should be cut. She is talking about cutting their necks while others think she is talking about cutting them off. A huge misunderstanding, to be blunt. A little later, Flay is cleaning outside when Charlotte asks her something. She asks why is her uniform different from the other maids. Flay told her that she tried putting on their uniform, but it just would not fit her, so she got one custom made for her. She sees Lisa flying around doing work. Charlotte is amazed and wants to fly as well. She goes to Flay and wants her to teach her how to fly. Yeah, she cannot fly. Flay with confidence agrees. She does bug jumps to show Charlotte that she can fly. Charlotte is impressed. Natalia comes and asks what they are doing. She doesn't want Charlotte to hurt herself and stops her from flying. Flay runs to Haruto, who is watching all this going on. He gives Flay a small plane to give Charlotte. Charlotte is happy flying around in this mini plane. A little later, Charlotte wants to go to the castle's bath with Flay, but Flay is not in the mood. Haruto asks if she wants to stay dirty like this. They go to the bath and Flay jumps in the water. After swimming a little, she gets out all clean. Coming back from the bath, Haruto asks Lisa how would she spend her day when she was holed up in the caves. She tells him that she would get up in the noon to read books. She would sleep in the afternoon to wake up in the evening only to read more books. And like this, the night would come and she would go to sleep again. Haruto is impressed. He asks what would she do about food. She was eating once a week when she was in the caves. Haruto is in his room sometime later when Lisa asks him about the anywhere door again. She is curious how it works. He tells her that he just connected 2 barriers to make 1 door. She is still confused and thinks that maybe he is using magic that is not from this world. At night, Haruto made an outside warm bath for everyone. Lisa and Charlotte are enjoying the warm water and Flay is just sitting outside of the bath. Charlotte asks her to join them, but she doesn't have the habit of warm baths. Flay is curious why warm water isn't affecting Lisa, by the way. Anyways, she jumps in on Charlotte's wish. It's been a week. She is enjoying this bath every day after work. Flay loves warm baths now. Haruto made a device that measures magical power. Lisa and Flay have decent powers while Charlotte is impressive looking at how small she is. Haruto thinks she will easily pass the queen at this rate, but Charlotte tells him that her mother put a sealing spell on her when she was little because of her enormous powers. MC is ready as ever to leave for the capital. Gold wishes him good luck for his mission. He is set to leave for the capital, however, Lisa is a little shaky and isn't able to control herself for the time being. MC is confident that she will learn along the way and will handle herself pretty well soon, but for now, she has to follow everything he tells her. She is a dragon, right? Dragons are supposed to be strong, not weak. Everyone should be afraid of her, not the other way around. The decision of MC to take Lisa with him to the capital does not sit right with Flay, but she has to follow what MC tells him. Charlotte is very hopeful, on the other hand, that her brother is the only one who can save the school from said evil organization, and he is going to complete his mission successfully. She doesn't seem like a child the way she is talking sometimes. Meanwhile, Laius is sitting and pondering on random thoughts in his room when Maria barges in. She has a letter for him from Margrave, but Laius already knows the letter is to inform him about MC leaving for the capital. Maria is wondering why Laius was the one who managed to get a recommendation letter for Haruto. Laius has a plan in his mind, that's all. His main objective is to understand how MC's powers work, because he has been polishing and practicing day and out but cannot seem to get even close to MC's powers. He thought maybe if he was in the same school as him, he could get a closer look at how he uses his powers. The discussion takes a different turn and they start talking about the evil organization that is actually set to take over the school. They are forcing students to accept the religion they believe in, and it is called Migism. Secularism is so important because of these reasons. Maria adds that this organization is not only after the school but the whole country. They plan to overthrow the monarchy and funds are being thrown at them for the said reason. Lois is very worried when he says that he knows who is behind all this funding, and it is actually their mother. She has a discord going on with the king, and for the past years, she has been very selfish and doesn't even think about her children sometimes. Lois has no idea what she is planning to do now, but whatever it is going to be very ugly. Lois starts teasing Maria about how she was the first in line to force a recommendation letter for MC. Maria denies, saying she doesn't like MC or anything, but Lois hadn't said a word about love. Very poor choice of words, I see. Anyways, Maria is confident that MC is the one who can defeat this organization, and Lois agrees with her on this. He says that he has heard about MC having the power to even defeat a dragon. This shocks Maria because defeating a dragon is something you don't often see or hear about. Lois thinks they should ask MC to help the school if he has that kind of power. Suddenly, their mother walks into the room. She is looking terrifying, especially with that weird collar she has on her neck. Mother is quite pleased to see Maria so grown up and beautiful. Maria just glances at her collar, and it is enough to make her angry. She grabs Maria by the neck and picks her up, strangling her with her bare hands. This is getting very not family friendly. Lois is shouting at her to stop and leave Maria alone, but she has gone insane. Finally, she lets her go and tells her to never stare at someone like that again. She then walks up to Lois, asking him about the news of MC going to the same school as him. She is acting like nothing happened, although she almost killed her own daughter just now. Mother wants Lois to keep an eye on MC and get the information about the Black Knight they have been hearing about. What kind of weird lady is she? Lois is stuck in place and terrified to the core with everything that has happened in the room. He cannot get out of this one and has to agree with her. Lois regrets that he has put MC in a difficult position because of his selfish motives. I thought he was a bad person, but that is not the case, I guess. Meanwhile, Charlotte and MC are in the room as usual. Charlotte reminds MC to leave for the capital as the time is almost over. Poor Flay is still trying to convince him to take her instead of Lisa, but MC has made up his mind. However, Charlotte needs Flay for some other tasks, so she also wants Flay to stay. MC and Lisa leave for the capital using the everywhere door, and they appear in the forest near the capital so MC can hide the door. They are walking toward the capital when they see a horse cart full of people chased by an evil bison. MC prefers to leave the matter and head toward their destination, but the thought of Charlotte forces MC to take some action. He transforms in the Black Knight. One of the cart's wheels breaks and people go flying everywhere. MC runs to help and catch everyone without anyone getting injured. One of the lady passengers gets up and tells everyone to run while she diverts the bison's attention. She looks confident enough that she can handle the wild animal, but she can't. The wild bison throws her on the ground and starts to charge toward her when MC kicks him in the noggin, knocking him down. Lady is shocked to see MC control the animal with that ease. She doesn't know what to say and even forgets to thank him for a second there. The lady is quite hurt and her shoulder is not in the right place after taking the hit. But this is nothing MC, and he uses his spell to heal her. She is grateful for being healed. A small child comes running to her all worried. But she tells him that he has nothing to be worried about because this guy, MC, has healed her. MC introduces himself in a cringy way, but it works somehow. That was enough of the introduction, I think. After that, he repairs their carriage with his spells, leaving the lady and others in more surprise. MC wonders why they are using this garbage of a cart. These are poor people, and it's the only convenience they can afford. MC understands and goes to leave, but the girl wants to reward him somehow. Reward is always some kind of wealth like money or gold, but they have none of the two mentioned. MC doesn't want a reward because he believes in helping everyone despite not getting compensated for it. Lady is quite pleased and wishes more people would think like him. Anyway, he leaves and gets the animal back to his herd so he can go home too. Lisa helps him get the bison back after getting him something to eat. They are on the way to the school after all this when MC notices Lisa being a little confused. He asks her and she tells him that the lady they met was a little strange for some reason, but she cannot place a finger on it right now. MC doesn't think about it that long and moves on. They arrive at school and there are long queues outside the school. Everyone is here to take admission, just like Missy. MC gets homesick after a little while and is eager to go home as early as possible. Heat is in the office and has to fill out a huge bundle of forms before he can go to his dorm. The room is quite good to their surprise, but nothing matters right now. All MC wants is to go home right now and bring out the anywhere door. Getting back home, Charlotte and Flay are waiting for MC while MC just wants to relax a bit for now. MC wants Flay to make him something to eat, but Charlotte wants to eat outside for some reason. Children like these hit different kinds of nerves. Flay isn't following Charlotte, but she whispers something in Flay's ear, and now they are both on the same page. MC has to accept what Charlotte says now. They are off to eat somewhere outside in the capital. The town is so lively and everyone is in a rush. MC and others are enjoying their evening food in a restaurant when Charlotte takes out a map of the capital. MC is a little confused and asks her about it. Charlotte wants to map out the capital from all the corners, so they are not strange to any place here. MC doesn't want to disappoint her sister and plays along. Flay and Lisa go their way and Charlotte and MC go together. Charlotte takes MC's hands and says that it's a date. Of course, she doesn't know what it means, but it sure does strike a ring MC's heart. He has not gone on any dates, including his past life, so he is very excited for this first date, though it is with her little sister. If that is not creepy, I don't know what is. They're roaming around the city and having fun. Their plan of mapping out every part of the capital is going smoothly so far. They stop at a necklace shop and Charlotte loves all kinds of varieties of necklaces. She picks up the one she loves and MC purchases it for her. He is excited to be enjoying his date. It's almost sunset and they are at an open place. Charlotte is running around and jams into a lady accidentally. The lady was in a hurry as well, so no one is at fault here. MC runs to see if Charlotte is alright, and she is. This is the same lady MC saved from the wild animal before, but she doesn't recognize him. She can sense the enormous power of his, but cannot recognize exactly who he is. Lady is somewhat strange, I see, like Lisa said earlier. MC avoids her and tells her that his power is actually 2, and maybe she is calling it enormous just to make fun of him. She backs out and apologizes for making it look bad. MC reminds her that maybe she was in a hurry somewhere and she should be getting to her destination. Lady leaves saying goodbye. As she is going her own way, Charlotte feels a different energy from her. She says the same thing as Lisa, that this lady was not a normal person. She has a different kind of energy, but she cannot describe it. MC seems to notice it now as he didn't before when Lisa told him. But he is not concerned about her. Rather, he is looking forward to spending his one day before school lying around. He just wants to enjoy his last day before he starts school officially. The MC lives in his room but occasionally visits the capital to check on his clone at school. He's cleverly hidden the anywhere door right in his dorm, the perfect hiding spot. Anyways, he comes to the capital and reports the happenings around school. The clone has a matter of urgency. A teacher came to his dorm, informing him that there was a pre-evaluation test he had to take. MC wasn't expecting a pre-evaluation test from this school, but he has to take this one. MC isn't having a lot of fun in school anyway, so he plans on failing the test. Thinking maybe if they are disappointed enough in him, they can send him back to his home. That way, he can do what he likes, living at home. He has a plan now and goes to take the test. Outside the exam hall, MC is sneaking his way up to it for some reason. Upon reaching the door, he is interrupted by the examiner. "Why were you sneaking though? I don't think you need to hide to fail the test." Examiner takes him inside the hall and MC is blown away by the sheer size of the room. This is a classroom where 100 students can fit in. Thinking about the life he would be living here and making friends gets him carried away. He thought that maybe living here in the capital for school was not such a bad idea after all, but he pulls himself back strongly and keeps his focus on his plan for now. The examiner hands him the test. Upon looking, tests seem very difficult to him and he can't understand a thing. This is going to be an easy win for him as he can just write random answers and get what he needs. MC sees the first question and doesn't understand a thing. Well, if he doesn't understand a thing, he can just write that he doesn't know. He does just that. Moving on to the next question, it's about barrier magic. Clearly, he has an extensive knowledge of the subject, yet he chooses to cover basic aspects. Even a newbie could know these. However, if he drops a don't know in this one, it might raise some eyebrows, so he goes with a quick and simple answer instead. The next question is about ancient magic. This question gets the best of him because he reads about it a lot. He took some days off from school saying he needed to study about it, so he remembers quite a lot about ancient magic. He gets carried away and writes the correct answer. First time seeing someone failing to fail a test. After the test, he has to get his magic power checked. He tries to tell them it's 2 so they don't, but they have to check it anyway. The examiner takes him to the doctor, and upon entering the doctor's office, he hears her voice but cannot see her anywhere, only because he has a small height and MC couldn't see her. She knows about MC and is excited to get to know about him. She checks him quite thoroughly and finds him to be a perfect boy. MC is trying to figure out her train of thought but not getting through to her. She knows MC is weirded out seeing a kid being a professor, but she tells him that he is just being rude thinking like that. She is quite a person and knows about her stuff, so he shouldn't doubt her. They have to check MC's power level now, so they turn toward Maija's crystal ball. MC has to direct his power to the ball, which will then measure it. MC puts his hand toward the crystal ball and breaks it. He was even holding back a lot of his powers, and even then, he managed to destroy the magic crystal ball accidentally. Thinking he messed who? MC thinks now she will send him home for sure, but to his surprise, she is amazed. She has never seen such power and can't believe that his power level is only 2. These crystal balls are apparently very expensive, but the doctor doesn't care because she has been just blown away by MC's power. But she has to evaluate his test as well. She takes MC's test and starts reading it. Well, MC's first answer being I don't know is looking like a try at being honest, so instead of being negative, the doctor likes it. His second answer is also very great, and the third answer about ancient magic is very familiar. She thinks he has just copied and pasted her deduction from her book. MC suddenly realizes that this is the doctor with the long name whose book he read. She has a really long name, I cannot even pronounce it. She loves everything about MC and plans to keep him directly under her. She tells the examiner and also MC, but MC refuses straight up. She tries to talk him into it, but MC's answer is no. Refusing to accept the offer, MC turns around and walks out of the office without being excused, and he is still in school after that. Wow! MC goes back to his dorm and lets his clone know about what happened. They are in a pickle now and have to figure out what to do about this school. MC hands this responsibility to the clone. MC gave a magic gun to Charlotte to give it to the clone brother. She goes and gives it to him, telling him it is only for worse situations. He takes the gun and takes off. He has to attend the entrance ceremony in MC's place, but keep an eye out for trouble. After the ceremony, clone brother is happy because of how the day went great. He can now go to his room, but the trouble awaits him. As he is walking back in the corridor, he sees a young extroverted dude walking toward him with some of his friends. Clone doesn't want to get involved with such extroverts, so he tries to walk past him without being noticed. A white-haired girl was also walking past beside these rich brats, but they suddenly stop and call her. Clone thinks he is busted, but they were calling this girl. Turns out it's the same girl MC saved the life of, and she kind of recognizes him. She is so tall. The dude stopping them is the leader of the group. Turns out he is the vice president of the academy named Schneider. He scolds her for not showing him respect while walking past him. Bullies in an academy. He says there is a rule that says to respect him whenever you see him, but she is new and didn't know about such a rule. Schneider stops Clone and tells him to teach this lady the rules around here. Feeling trapped, Clone tries to escape, pretending to have a stomachache. Seeing him act miserably, Schneider feels out of respect and charges a Maggie attack at him. He wants to punish him and blows Clone up with his powers. On the ground, Schneider thinks he has learned his lesson, but MC has put a protective shield around him. That protected him and he is okay. Seeing him get up without any pain shocks Schneider. He cannot figure out how he took that attack and didn't feel a thing. Seeing him surprised, Clone tries to pretend again that he is hurt, but this again prompts him to fire a second attack. The girl walks up to the clone and apologizes for getting him mixed up in this with her. She's totally misrating the situation. Schneider is about to attack, and this time, his attack is 10 times the last one. It can kill him for sure, so Clone takes out the magic gun and shoots it at Schneider. Without looking back, the clone runs away from there and gets to his room. There, MC is informed about the whole situation and sends the clone back to get some rest. Apparently, he was also chased by the kid professor after running away from that vice president. MC is surprised to see that people can just start magic fights like that in this academy. He didn't expect this from this school. That is how they do it in the capital. One of the girls with that vice president Schneider came and handed a letter to MC. It's an invitation to a duel, and it's from Schneider himself. MC wants to fail and lose, but at the same time, he doesn't want to get hurt. He sees from his magic eye that the white-haired girl gets in a car with the girl who gave him the letter. They go to the vice president's house. He is a noble and an arrogant one. The white-haired girl is there to ask him to take the invitation back. She thinks it was her fault, and he shouldn't be punishing someone else for it. Schneider is as rude as he can be and wants her to apologize first, which she does. But he is not satisfied. He wants her to strip and dance in front of him. She is hesitant but agrees to his request. Seeing this, MC is frustrated and doesn't know what to do now. The girl starts taking off her clothes while regretting every step. Schneider tries to mock her. Suddenly, a void appears and the girl is alone. Shui appears out of nowhere and gives her clothes and a lecture. She is way less treasured and should keep her self-respect. She is an easy prey for people like this noble. Meanwhile, Schneider is shocked and doesn't know what is happening. He sees MC and tries to attack him but fails. MC has put an energy blocker on him. While it's on him, he cannot use his magic. Noble Schneider doesn't understand what is happening to him. MC introduces himself and is here to punish him for his sins. He sinned 3 times today and should be punished for it. MC explains all of them. The first is messing with juniors without a reasonable cause. Second is when he challenged for a duel in a junior especially. Schneider tries to explain that this is the way to retain one's honor, but MC doesn't want to hear such nonsense. The third sin is when he asks a lady to strip and dance for her. He should be ashamed for harassing ladies like that. Schneider feels disrespected and tries one more time to attack but fails. MC explains if he tried to remove the blocker by magic, it would twist from the inside and hurt like hell. He tries right now and screams like a baby from the pain. Don't you think you should just listen to what he said? Shui leaves saying he shouldn't be like him anymore and change himself. Everything is back and Schneider is back in his room. All of his guards and friends were shocked to see him disappear like that. Seeing the blocker on his shoulder, one of his friends tries to remove it but ends up hurting him. Hurt from all the humiliation he just suffered, Schneider promises himself to take revenge on Shui. After defeating the renowned school noble, MC finds himself skyrocketing in popularity among both students and teachers. His name is on everyone's lips, and he's the talk of the town. However, when he's summoned to a private room, he expects to face expulsion, but is instead bombarded with praise. This twist is the opposite of what MC wanted, and it's thrown his plans into chaos. MC runs to his room to hole up as soon as he can, but is stopped on the way by the little professor. The professor is still on his tail, wanting him to join her research lab. Mate didn't know about it, but Clone did tell him about this professor. He tries to avoid and ignore but gets sucked into her talking again. She tries to explain how there are different things he has to enroll in. First, there are knights who fight for the school and the capital, and there are researchers who invent and experiment with different magics. She really wants MC to work under her. Why is her face like a cat? Suddenly, Lois shows up all hyped up wanting to meet MC. MC doesn't recognize him and pushes him against the floor thinking it's some stranger trying to work him up. But he also sees Maria with him. She is beautiful as always and MC has melted away. She reminds him that it's Lois he is holding on the floor. Lois is pretty buff for some reason and is not recognizable. Maria asked MC about the school. It's going okay for him. She wonders if he has enrolled in anything yet. He hasn't, and this is why she wants him to join her research lab. Lois and Maria get into an argument as to who MC is going to go with. The professor also joins them and starts arguing. Lois informs MC about this professor and how she isn't getting any results with her experiments. Professor simply thinks that her work is not so easy to understand, and there are some kinds of fools insulting her work. They again start arguing about who MC is going to go with. That guy just wants to take a breather for God's sake. Everyone starts arguing about taking MC in, but MC doesn't even know what to say. He just wants to get out of this mess, and out of nowhere, the girl with white hair comes up asking to talk with him. This is a perfect chance for him to escape from this mess. He takes her hand and tells everyone he made plans with this girl, so he has to go. Saying this, he runs away with her. Maria starts freaking out if they are more than friends and the professor isn't planning on giving up on him anytime soon. Way out of the school, they stop and MC apologizes for dragging her like that. He asks what she wants to talk about. She surprises MC asking if he is the same person as yesterday. MC was suspicious about this lady before, and this gets him more suspicious. He asks how she can tell. She can feel a lot of mana from him right now, but yesterday it was like he was a hollow person with close to 0 mana. This gets MC thinking maybe she is just a lot sensitive to mana, that's all. Out of reflex, MC creates a barrier around him, which the girl can feel too. He is more surprised seeing she can feel this barrier as well. Flay was the only one that said something like this to him, so he thinks maybe she is a demon, but she is not. She is a human being after all. With that out of the way, the girl has 3 things for MC. First, she wants to apologize for getting him caught up in the mess yesterday. Also, she wants to thank him for saving her from Schneider's evil doings, and last, she has a favor. She wants him to be her friend as she had no friends till now. MC doesn't want to agree, but they are friends now it seems. This girl is a lot fishy for some reason. MC is surprised to hear she has no friends. He wonders how that happened and the girl shares her story. MC wasn't expecting it to be this serious when the girl told him that she was abandoned right after she was born. In fact, this happened 4 times throughout her life. Well, this got real heavy real quick. There must be a reason for this to happen to her, right? She feels like it was because she started speaking as an infant. Anyways, she started living in a monastery and always lived like that. She feels that she has no common sense when it comes to society, and this is why not so many people want to be her friends. MC thinks she has the wrong person as her friend and she is seeking to learn those things. MC also doesn't have many friends and even common sense. This makes the girl very happy as she is excited to learn these things together with MC. The girl smiles very cutely, which messes with MC's feelings. MC is stuck in a mess again, but he thinks about it and it doesn't seem like a bad idea. He feels like he can get out of hassles using her. She is enrolled in the little professor's lab, which MC doesn't really like. But he decides to enroll in that too, so they both can be in the same lab together. Professor is going to be very arrogant about it. MC still doesn't know her name, and so do we. He introduces himself and she is about to say her name when the scene cuts. Meanwhile, Charlotte, Flay, and Lisa are still in the hot bath. Charlotte is bored out of her mind when she gets a sudden flash of insight that maybe something great has happened to MC. She goes to check it by herself. Flay is complaining about how MC wouldn't let them visit the capital. She just wants to be by his side all the time. Lisa is impressed by her sense of duty and how she is ready to serve MC every time. She praises Flay a lot, which gets her blushing. Flay explains how the Demon King, MC, always was a kind person, putting others before himself. He always wanted a world where humans and demons could coexist, but other demons weren't on the same page. The Flash Princess came to fight and he let her kill him so he could reincarnate as a human. Thinking he can maybe achieve his goal by being a human, Lisa is pretty surprised to learn all this. Flay goes on to explain that MC didn't remember anything from his past life after the reincarnation and was a little confused. Flay feels like MC doesn't remember his main motive and is now just living as a normal human. Saying this, Flay tells Lisa how he sometimes calls MC by his Demon King name. Lisa doesn't know that name, so she asks Flay about it. As Flay is about to say his name, the scene cuts back to MC and the girl. What is with this leaving names behind like a mystery? We learn that the girl's name is Arisphilia. MC wants to call her Iris, which recalls her days from back then. Now that they are friends, MC is about to leave when Iris stops him. She wants him to enroll in the classes together so they can achieve their goals collectively. MC invites her to his room without thinking. Reaching the room, MC realizes that he just invited a girl to his room without thinking, but nothing can happen now. Going inside the room, Char is watching anime. She is shocked to see a girl with MC. Thinking she is his love, MC corrects, saying she is just a friend. Char starts ranting about weird stuff and ends the sentence by saying she is planning on becoming MC's second wife. She is a child, for God's sake. What is she thinking? MC is weirded out by this but doesn't want her to hate him, so he agrees. Iris is confused as to whether this is a normal talk between siblings. Anyways, they get to fill out forms for the classes. MC is rolling the dice before filling out each class section. Iris thinks this is some kind of magic, but he is just randomly deciding the classes, that's all. Char explains how MC is not here merely to learn from the classes, rather he has a huge motive. Iris wants to know, but she doesn't tell her. Char further explains how MC has transcended all the things a human can do and how incredible he is. Iris totally buys this and starts praising MC. MC asks Char to fill out the form for him. She is honored and does a great job. Char leaves them be and they finish the forms, encouraging each other to do their best in the academy from now on. The classes are going to start today and MC is a little nervous. Char explains to him the schedule for today. He is in the C class. There are 5 classes named A, B, C, D, and EC is the middle class of average students. These are based on the entrance exams. MC is a little concerned seeing the classes he is going to attend are a little tough that only seniors study in, but he can use these to his advantage. Maybe if he attempts the exam so badly that the teacher thinks he should drop out, then that will be all he could wish for. Keeping this in mind, MC is about to leave for the capital when Char stops him. Char wants a hug and is waiting for him with her arms open. She hugs him really tight, which is a little weird. She is sure that he can move up to Class A because of his capabilities. That is not what he wants though. At the academy, Iris is waiting outside for MC. He shows up with Lisa. MC introduces Lisa to Iris. She feels delighted to meet her. Lisa still cannot put a finger on who this girl is. She thinks Iris is a demon but cannot prove it somehow. MC isn't concerned about it anymore. Anyways, they are going to the class when Iris tells MC that she is in Class A. MC being in C class surprises Iris, but she is sure that he will be coming to Class A in no time. He goes to his class after that. Upon entering the class, he sees that everyone is looking at him. This makes him feel a little strange, but he suddenly remembers that there is a rumor of him and a senior. So he focuses on himself and goes to sit in his place. The class begins. The teacher understands that they are the average of the average looking at the entrance exam. He wants to conduct the test right away, which MC is excited about. This is his chance to show them how much he should be dropped. The test begins and MC gets the question paper. Upon reading it, he realizes that this is even easy for kids. Char used to answer these questions in 6th grade, but he has to attempt it anyway. He thinks if he wrongly answered all of these questions, it would seem intentional, so he is going to aim for 60 points only so he can keep an average score. After the test, the teacher checks the tests and the results are just as he thought they would be. All the tests were 20 points or less, and they needed 50 points to move to Class B. But MC got 60 points and everyone started clapping for him. This isn't how it was supposed to go. He is moved to Class A rather than B because of his results. Going to Class A, Iris and Lois are surprised. MC is about to leave when they drag him to the desk. They are again arguing because of MC when the teacher introduces herself. Her name is Professor Ortario Velcom. I don't know why, but I really like this name. She looks like a strict teacher and is surprised to see these first-year students chatting in the front row. She knows Iris and MC have joined the little professor's lab. Needless to say, they are in her vision now. Today's topic is about the main attributes and the second attributes. There is a crystal ball in front of her, and she invites Iris to come and touch it. Upon touching it, it shows all of her attributes. Her main attribute is chaos and the rest are the secondary ones. Velcom goes on to explain that the second attribute cannot be assigned any numbers for now because it is just too hard for the researchers. Hearing this, MC starts his advanced measuring skill and measures Iris's attributes. He can see all of the attributes and even some that are not known by other magicians. Velcom asks Lois about the attributes. He answers with a hypothesis, but Velcom informs him that this exact hypothesis was disproved recently. She is looking for an answer when MC is talking with himself and says the word hidden attributes. Hearing this freaks out Velcom. She goes and grabs him by the neck asking how he knew about this. Turns out there was a recent breakthrough by a popular researcher. MC is surprised to learn about these mysterious researchers. Velcom explains that nobody knows who they are, but their research is always way ahead of its time. It dawns on MC that it's probably just Char having a bit of fun. He just called strange words in the measure of the hidden attributes, that's all. Velcom is impressed by MC and wants him to join her lab. Iris thinks soliciting students during a class is not ethically right. MC refuses her anyway. After the class, MC and Iris turn in their joining letters to the little professor. Her happiness has no end and she wants to hold a welcoming party for these two. Her assistant Porcos is going to prepare the food. Iris and MC are waiting when Porco screams. They go to check it out and there is a body in the kitchen. It's Schneider and he is unconscious for now. Turns out he came to the little professor because of the barrier MC put on his shoulder. It has not been removed and it's been more than one day. She tried everything on it but nothing worked. The The professor is really excited to use him for ancient magic research. She wants Iris to touch his shoulder. She feels like an invisible cylinder is in his shoulder when she touches it. She doesn't know what it is, but it feels like something is jammed in his shoulder. The professor explains how when she pokes a non-living thing through it, it goes through. And how when she tries to perform magic on it, it grinds together and hurts like hell on his shoulder. She has figured out that this is some kind of barrier, and this is put on him through ancient magic. MC is surprised that she has figured it out so easily. The professor asks Iris about ancient magic. Iris explains that it is magic that has a lot of mystery surrounding it and is lost to time. But the professor is sure that this is some kind of ancient magic happening to her. Iris thought ancient magic wasn't in use now, but apparently someone is using it still. Professor doesn't have an idea who it is, but she has some lead. She turns to Schneider and asks about the person who did it. He doesn't know who it is but explains his appearance. After mocking Schneider for a bit, she turns to MC and asks him if he knows who did it. She is suspicious of him. She knows about the Black Knight Schwa and how he showed up in the capital as soon as he moved here. The king recommending him here is something that doesn't sit right with her. She starts ranting about how she thinks it's MC who is doing all the ancient magic and stuff. He always gets caught in these messes and wants the main body to come to rescue him. As he is thinking this, Schwa, MC shows up. He was watching everything that was happening but showed up when it was getting out of hand. He explains he has nothing to do with the boy. All he wants is for him not to fool around the juniors and wants him to give respect to everyone else. The professor is amazed to see him in person though. She talks about the suspicious organization and how this Schneider is a part of it. This is a big help for MC. As he was looking for clues, MC warns Schneider to heed the duel he sent out or otherwise, he wouldn't remove the barrier from his shoulders. As he is warning Schneider, the professor tangles him with the earth and dark magic. She is confident that he won't be able to get out of this one because it is a relatively strong spell she cast on him. She tries to negotiate and wants MC to answer her questions about ancient magic. She is in big trouble. Without any effort, MC gets out of the restraints and puts a spell on her in turn. The little professor cannot move now and is crying to get free. Schwa wants her to leave her alone, but she is not letting him go without answering her questions. Man, she is stubborn. Porcos wants the professor to apologize because he is very scared of Schwa now, but she isn't listening. Suddenly, the professor starts to melt and wants him to set her free now. Turns out, she has to go to the toilet and cannot hold it any longer. Schwa goes out saying not to follow him anymore. As he is going out, he removes the spell from her. The professor is left impressed by his magic. A welcome party gets held as we see Tirietta cheering for their new research students. Although Haruto seems pretty exhausted because a lot of things happened last time and he low-key feels jealous because Arisphilia is getting all the special treatment from Tirietta is welcoming her to the lab and filling her drinks. Whereas the hero is simply sitting on the sofa and feeling uncomfortable due to the continuous glaring of Porcos. Upon asking, Porcos apologizes for his stares and reveals that he was just noticing how Haruto and he are similar. They both always end up getting caught in stuff. Moreover, Porco reveals that somehow he ended up staying by Professor Tia's side. It appears back in the day, Porco was actually a tutor for the Lucrogenial family. It may not seem like it, but Porco was actually Tia's teacher. However, that girl was always ahead of her time. She would learn the basics from Porco and later would develop her own theories. And as time passed by, Tia needed a bigger lab and technology. Therefore, she entered this academy while Porco was told to stay by her side. Although Porco was never really a help to Tia, because that girl was said to be the closest to the highest title in modern magic, which is the title Sage. But the girl chose to choose ancient magic, and now she simply finds lost magic. Anyways, out of nowhere, drunk Arisphilia jumps into Haruto's arm. Arisphilia is so drunk that she pours the drink for Haruto, but ends up drinking it anyway. After that, the girl falls onto Haruto's lap and starts to thank him for staying with her and joining the lab with her. Later, as Haruto lays Iris on the sofa, he meets Tia there who asks him the reason why Iris is interested in ancient magic. Well, it appears that Tia knows Iris from her magic measures during her entry exams. It impresses her to see how that girl can control all her attributes. People with such blessed powers are rarely found these days. However, Iris's magic level appears to be level 5 out of 35. Regarding her age, Tia believes that there's a possibility that her magic level won't increase anymore. That's why Iris is interested in ancient magic, because back in the day, those ancient people used to be level 100 or upwards. So Iris thinks that she might find something that would boost her magic level. Even Tia seems interested in that because she has never done any research in that field. There, the alcohol starts to kick in and even Tia falls asleep along with Porco. On the other hand, we see Schneider raging because the news of his withdrawal from the duel will spread all over the academy tomorrow. That guy has tried his best to make his father the next king. He even supported Luciferists for that sake. So to save his plans, he brings out the Schneider's house's special assassination squad and tells them their mission, which is to kill Hart Senfis and his group by tonight. Though they seem to be being recorded by Hart himself. And the next moment, a group of assassins gathers outside the mansion. They reveal that all 4 of their targets are available in the mansion, as they are seen to be sleeping. It appears that Schneider has made a team of 20 assassins to eliminate a kid and 3 other sorcerers. As their mission begins, the assassins run towards the wall, but eventually they get hit by an invincible wall. That invincible barrier seems to be indestructible, so suddenly, a gate appears in front of them. Well, that gate then starts to suck people and attacks in it as it multiplies. There, they interact with Shua, who seals the movement of all 20 of them. And the very next moment, we see all the elite assassins being tied up and are on the ground in front of Schneider. And right in front of him, we see Shua sitting at first. Schneider says that he has no part in this mission. So Shua literally shows Schneider his own footage in which he is ordering them to kill Hart and his group. Now that Schneider is trapped, the guy gets down to no option but to use that cursed syringe. And hence, Schneider transforms into a giant monster who literally throws Hart out of the mansion with a single punch. Looking at his armor titan form freaks Shua out. And right in this fuss, Charles calls Hart and tells him that she has a feeling her brother is in trouble. So Hart then explains the whole situation, and in the end, Charles tells him that instead of killing the monster, Hart should save him. Because the guy can't say no to his sister, so now he thinks about a cure while defending himself against the beast. Furthermore, Shua believes that this creature definitely exceeds Jigen's power, and Hart's attack doesn't seem to affect him. Hence, Hart uses her magic and manages to hold the beast's arms, but that thing literally chops its own hands and manages to regenerate them after some seconds. However, Charles then notices that the beast has shrunk after regenerating, so she asks her brother to cut all the overgrown parts and that the beast might return to its old form. Well, Charles isn't actually as useless as we think she is. So to handle Schneider's beast form, Hart decides to use some fashion. The boy literally uses his new secret technique, a technique in which the whole sky turns red, and we see swords falling as they are raindrops. Hart calls that technique Japanese swords, and as he launches the attack, those swords annihilate Schneider as it cuts him into pieces. And the very next moment, we see Schneider sitting on the ground in his human form, naked. Although the guy seems pre-whacked off, I dunno, but doesn't this scene seem similar to Eren when he came out of his first transformation? Hart straight up gives credit to his sister as the fight ends, although Charles seems unsatisfied because she can't see Schneider fully naked, since his lower part is censored by a mysterious light that Hart used. After Charles goes back to bed, Hart decides to confront Schneider and ask for his deal. But instead of replying, Schneider literally starts to run like a monkey. Whereas Hart decides to take the syringe back to the lab. After returning, Hart and his clone, who was with Iris, start to talk with each other. During their discussion, they both agree to the fact that they are having fun dealing with all sorts of problems. Furthermore, they both think that this life is way better than their previous one. Hart then tells the other Hart that it's late night, so he should stay there. The next day, we see Flay and Lisa wandering around the capital. There she investigates an old homeless man and asks him if he noticed any bad signs lately. But that old guy seems to have hearing problems, so a bunch of boons tell Flay that they are willing to talk to her if she'd walk on the empty lane with them. Well, that was unlucky for the goons, because Flay beats the crap out of those guys and forcefully asks those people questions about if they felt anything odd in the mansion. Later, while everyone is sitting together, Charles reveals that the king and queen are on bad terms and the nobles would eventually take advantage of it. So Charles fears that the capital is about to get attacked. Well, Johnny feels like the enemy has already made their move as he asks Charles to show the fight Hart had with the giant beast. For a moment, the group goes off topic and starts to praise how amazing Hart is. Anyways, Charles then tells everyone that Schneider is actually the Vice Student Council president, so she believes that the other Dark Student Council must have forced him to do such a thing. So now Charles thinks that it's their turn to make the move. Hence, she reveals her plan that they'll infiltrate the academy and gather information so they would then expose the students who are in touch with the evil organization. And so, Team Camelot accepts the quest, whereas Hart seems to be spectating their meeting this whole time though. Hart believes that the Camelot might end up bringing relevant data, so he decides to spectate every one of them for their safety.